Like to call the Town of Clinton Planning Board virtual meeting to order at 7:31 on February 16th, 2021. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic and pursuant to Executive Order number 202.1 issued on March 12th, 2020, suspending the open meetings law and emergency state and federal bans on large meetings or gatherings, the Town of Clinton Planning Board scheduled for February 16th, 2021 will be held electronically via Zoom instead of a public meeting open for the public to attend in person. Members of the public may view the board meeting as it is live streamed on YouTube, www.townofclinton.com/government/planning-board-video/ a transcript of the meeting will be posted on the town website at a later date. The first order of business is a area variance for Cats and Dogs Properties LLC. Do we have anybody in the waiting room for that?
Hi, Paul, you're muted.
Michael? Mike?
Hi, Arlene.
Paul, you're muted.
I'm here, but I'm not officially representing the application, although I can. Her professional can also be here.
Well, what's this, Christine?
Yes, I'm here. I was just let in.
Okay, good. Okay, this is the first of two steps. The planning board, which is who you are in front of right now, will review the application and make a recommendation, yay, nay, or neutral to the zoning board of appeals, and they will make the final decision on the area variance. Okay? So if you can just briefly let us know what you're doing, and then we'll go forward.
Okay. Hi, planning board. My name is Kristen Zarella. I'm the architect with Hudson Design, representing Cat and Dog Properties for the variance for her minimum width. As she had 3 previous non-conforming lots, which she combined into one, which ideally would present a more ideal situation but at this time, with the 3 lots combined, it does not qualify for the minimum width for 400 feet. We're at 387. So we're hoping to move forward in accepting our variance for the minimum width. Should I move on to the other denial that was listed?
Sure. Yeah, you're going to do them both.
Okay. So there is a, is that Arlene? Are you sharing?
Yeah.
Okay. So Arlene's sharing the 3 lots combined here for the minimum width. The other denial on the denial letter was the wetlands permit and requiring a minimum setback of 100 feet. And there was a question at hand of whether or not this property being on Brown's Pond is the body of water in question of it requiring a wetlands permit. Now, we had done a lot of research to see if this was under the DEC website, which it does not. And then I know that it was brought to our attention that the town has their own definition of what a wetlands is. So we just thought it was important to bring it to the board that there's different sections. I printed out if all the board members had seen the letter of what we had sort of just wanted to present as a discussion, a topic. Basically outlining, it says that the first subsection does say pond or body of water, but the other 2 sections describes it as a specific size. And neither of those sizes technically are Brown's Pond doesn't qualify within those sizes. It's approximately a 14.5 acre body of water, which is actually larger than the one that's described in the town code. But yeah, it does not qualify under the DEC as a regulated body of water, as a wetland. So this is just something we wanted to bring to the board's attention, that this wasn't something that we just sort of, we're trying to comply as best as we can with it, but this was sort of news to us that we would have to do the 100 feet setback here. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Jack?
Yeah, I think we should deal with them separately. The variant sounds pretty straightforward to me. It's 13 feet. It's not particularly substantial. So speaking, and it was 3 parcels put together. So one house is going to be better than the 3 that could have been built there under the old zoning. So I don't have a huge problem with this part of it. If other people have questions, that's fine. Otherwise, I have a resolution.
My only comment, I don't have a problem with it either. I don't know why this was referred for a variance. I can't remember having to deal with a situation where a lot's been created and somebody's trying to build on it and they have to get a variance because they don't have lot width. If the lot's created, it's an existing lot. And I was just reading 250-18, and it's what's a little unclear. What makes this a little murky is because the 3 lots were combined, and so the lot we're dealing with was created sort of differently from what the section anticipates. It anticipates more of a subdivision kind of thing, but what that says is if you have an existing lot of record, even if it doesn't have a lot width or the lot area, or I mean, what's hard for me to understand is why this was referred for lot width when it doesn't have the minimum lot acreage, right? If you think it would, if it needs lot width, it also needs lot acreage. I don't think it needs either, but maybe the prudent thing to do is just send it to the ZBA with a positive. I have no problem with what's being done here. I think it's fine. It's just it's a technical matter. I'm not sure why it was referred.
I don't know what was in the zoning officers.
Yeah.
And I didn't consider the acreage size because they were 3 existing parcels. So it seems to me that does come under 18, and we don't have to deal with that, but I can add something here to it if you think that's appropriate.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they thought this needed a variance at all, but I think we're all, I'll speak for myself. I'm positive on what's being done here because it makes the situation, it's better than it was before. And
Exactly.
Yeah, so I'm sorry that if they had to go through this unnecessarily, but I guess we should just, send it along and the ZBA can decide.
Yeah. So I've got a resolution, Art, if we're at that point.
Jack, I think this falls under the no good deed goes unpunished type of situation. And I can see why John did it because he did create a new lot, okay, which technically, I guess, falls under this. But I have no problem whatsoever with sending this through on a positive note to the ZBA. They've made the situation much, much better.
I agree. So what I have is, whereas applicant Kathleen Doran, Cat and Dog Properties LLC seeks an area variance pursuant to section 250-98 of the zoning code for property at 39 Lake Pleasant Drive in the town of Clinton, long number, which is less than the minimum width permitted. Applicant has combined 3 non-conforming properties bordering Browns Pond into a single, more substantial, but still non-conforming property in this AR5 zone, with the intention of building a single residence on the property. We previously approved demolition of a house on one of the prior lots, noting that the plan to build a single residence on 3.9 acres was closer to the 5-acre minimum in an AR5 zone than the 3 houses that could have been built on the property under its pre-existing zoning. The town's schedule of area regulations requires that each lot in an AR5 zone have a minimum lot width of 400 feet. The lot in question has a width of 387 feet, a shortage of 13 feet. The variance sought is minimal and not substantial, amounting to slightly over 3% of the minimum required width. It will not be an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or to detriment to nearby properties. As noted, applicant's plan will bring the property closer to the minimum zoning. Given the size of the combined lot, the benefit cannot be achieved by other means, nor will the variance have an adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. The difficulty is self-created. Now, be it resolved, the Town of Clinton Planning Board makes a positive recommendation to the Zoning Board of Appeals with respect to this application.
Have a
Second.
second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Art, aye.
Jerry, I.
Justin, I.
Sarah, I.
Paul,
Opposed? So moved. Okay, that takes care of that. And now the wetlands.
Yeah, this one, I don't think goes through as smoothly, frankly. And I appreciate the application, calling it to our attention and not just ignoring it. And I'd appreciate, any thoughts that you have, but I think you're reading our definition incorrectly. The definition that we're looking at is not of wetlands, which is defined separately, but rather of what is a controlled area for purposes of the wetland application, section 78. And there are three, as you noted, there are three possibilities, but the first is any area within 100 feet of a watercourse, lake, or pond. So as I look at the drawings, it seems to me the house is about 80 feet from Brown's Pond, and then there's a patio and a walkway and a dock right on the pond, all of which would be within 100 feet. I think the fact that the definition only talks about wetlands less than 12 and a half acres is because section 78, the one that talks about wetland permits, exempts anything over 12 and a half feet because that is controlled by the DEC. So this is not a wetland that we're talking about at all. It's any property, wet or not, that is within 100 feet of a pond or a lake, which it is. So I think you have to, make the application. But I'd be happy to hear any, thoughts or views you have otherwise.
And we did a lot of wetlands permit next door, we've been doing it over there.
When you measured the distance to the lake, pond, whatever you want to call it, I know that property pretty well. And is it measured to the edge of the cliff? And then, because there's a substantial drop that goes down to the lake. So do you know how that was measured?
Well, I would say that the measurement was taken from where it's deemed the property owner, so the property line. And from what you can tell, zooming into where Arlene is zooming into the civil drawing there, it's pretty close to where the body of water edge meets the land. I guess that would be sort of a question, I guess. I think because it's a public ownership beyond the property line. So yeah, the property, the measurement from the to the house was taken from the property line.
only
Okay.
20 feet. You
So
you
the
may
prop,
want to go back and remeasure.
Excuse me?
so the property line would be virtually not the closest point, wouldn't be the water. It would be the edge of that drop off, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know if that factors in,
Mm-hmm.
only that I, know know these properties here,
Mm-hmm.
but you probably have another 50 feet to get down to the water line.
Right.
I don't know if that makes any difference.
I think it does. Because the definition we're looking at says any area within 100 feet of a watercourse, lake, or pond. So I think you measure, I'm guessing, but I think you measure to, the water's edge. The idea is to preserve land around the water, not where the property line is. Having said that, if you want to put in the patio, the wooden walkway, and the dock, you have to consider whether those are within 100 feet. And the dock and the walkway clearly are by definition. The patio, may or may not be. It's hard for me to tell. But it probably is. So anything I think within 100 feet of the pond
Mhm.
is within the scope of the wetland permit rule, our wetland permit rule.
Okay, so that's any hardscape, basically.
Yeah, any structure.
Mhm. Okay.
Where the structures are there now,
Mhm.
on the water,
No,
the
they're not.
dock, okay.
There was I went over and it was snowy, so I didn't go all the way down. It looked like a vacant lot from what I could
They
see.
demolished. Remember going back, they went for demolition of the existing house. Now it's vacant.
Yeah,
They're
and
rebuilding.
Yeah, that's gone.
They're rebuilding.
Correct. We have the existing survey of where the previous non-conforming house stood, which actually it shows up as sort of outlined on this civil drawing. You can see that the previous house, if the cursor went over a little bit more to the left, you can see that patio, what looks like a patio to the left is actually, that's the patio, but where it's dashed was where the previous non-conforming house footprint was. So if we were to continue down the application, the process for the application, it sounds like no matter what, even if we would need it because we're going to have a dock, we're going to have some sort of patio there, so we have to proceed down. It sound from what I'm hearing, it sounds like I have to proceed down. We have to proceed on this route, no matter what. I guess our argument would be to present that we are still presenting a better condition than what the previous house was, considering it was much closer to the body of water at that time as well for 50 plus years.
All of which I think is relevant
Okay.
when we review the application, but
Sure.
you do have to apply it.
Yeah, it sounds like we don't have a choice. So.
Yeah,
But I guess, you might want to remeasure or think about moving the house back if you have to a little bit. I don't know if that's possible, but it may be easier to apply, and I don't want to prejudge anything, but maybe easier to apply for permission for a dock and a walkway than a house, a patio, a dock and a walkway, but that's your call.
Chairman DePasqua, if I could weigh in for a moment.
sure.
The dock and the walkway still exist. They were not removed. You can't see them by the snow, but they still do exist. They're prior non-conforming. I didn't weigh in earlier, but I believe your zoning administrator decided that because there were 3 prior non-conforming lots, that when they were combined, the new lot not reaching the minimum road frontage needed the variance. I understood the logic. I also understand both sides of, is this a wetland for a wetland permit or is it a pond? But I believe from hearing the statements tonight that the applicants, Cat and Doran Productions, will need to still go for the wetland permit because it doesn't matter if it's a wetland, it's still a water body and the controlled area, so to speak. But
Exactly.
the dock and the
Controlled
walkway,
area matters.
the dock and the walkway still exist. Those were not removed.
You know,
I think the best way to go forward here is to apply for this. I think the applicant has made the situation much, much better. I think if you remeasure the house to the edge of the cliff and then down, you're gonna have more than 100 feet for that, but you obviously won't have 100 feet for the dock and the walkway and so on and so forth. I don't see a major problem with this. I would like to see the application. And I think that's the best way to go, is to apply for it. And this way, all the Ts are crossed, Is are dotted for the applicant.
I agree with that.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay?
Just, you know, just indicate in the plan what's proposed and what's existing. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so we can tell. And then, you know, what we normally do is refer it to our engineer for comments. And my only other question would be, is it really the case that no other regulator has to, you know, has to approve this? Meaning either DEC or Army Corps.
It is not on the list of DEC regulated wetlands, interestingly enough. I'm assuming, and I don't know the history of this site, that it might be that it was man-made, which doesn't really matter usually for the DEC, but it is not on by the way, for those who don't know, I've been the chairman of the Hyde Park Planning Board I'm in my 17th year now. This is not on a DEC list, which is interesting because it's of the right size. I don't know how that escaped.
Yeah. Okay. No, I just,
Look, doesn't DEC have a rule like we do that if something is within X feet of a lake or a pond, it's regulated?
that's what I
regardless
thought.
of its
That's sort of what I
setback?
thought. Yeah.
Yeah, the DEC, the regulation is of a certain size, 12.3 acres, and then they have what is called the adjacent area, commonly known as a buffer, of 100 feet, where you have to get a permit to do any kind of incursion or improvements for development within that adjacent area. But in this case, it is not a DEC regulated wetland. Kirsten Zarella has noted this, and you can go and look at your environmental mapper with the EAF, but it does not show up as a DEC wetland, which again, I'm a little bit flummoxed by that because I have emergent wetlands that people have dug up that are bigger than this,
I know.
around the same size, that appear now as DEC regulated wetlands. So, but it doesn't.
We're not regulating as a wetland. We're regulating as a controlled
Pond.
area.
I think this is the incursion into the body of water here is extremely minor. You've got a walkway and a dock. So let's go forward with the application. I think we'll talk and see if anybody else needs to see this. But let's go forward with the applicant and the application for the wetlands permit. Okay?
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman.
Do we need
Thank
a
you.
resolution on this, or we just all agree to march forward?
I think we wait for the application. I'm sure you'll get it to us pretty quickly. We can get you on a meeting post haste.
He already did the denial, the Z for the wetlands. They just did not submit it. It was included with the variance denial.
I think
All he said was they have to file the permit.
Yeah, the wetlands permit, yes.
So they're curing that.
Yeah. So it's just now the applicant just have to submit the application form and we could move forward.
Good.
Good. Okay. That's what we said. Okay?
Thank you, Arlene. Good to see you. Thank you, all members. Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
Right.
Appreciate it. Good luck. Get that to us pretty quickly.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is Magnata area variance. Do we have anybody in the waiting room there, Fred?
Yeah, she's here.
Unmute. Joe.
Hello, hi,
Hello.
hello.
Okay, we have the applicant. Oh, okay, Joe, there you are. Okay, this is a two-step process. The planning board, which is what you're in front of now, will review your application and then will give a recommendation to the zoning board of appeals, either yay, nay, or a neutral recommendation. They then make the final decision. Okay?
Yep,
So if you can briefly explain to us what you're doing, and then we'll go from there.
okay, we'd like to put up a 24-foot above ground pool in our backyard and with a deck eventually, which you can see there. And our yard is flag shaped, so we don't have the depth in the backyard.
Okay. Okay. Justin?
Yeah, so as she said, this is a flag shape and it's kind of it's sandwiched between another flag above it and a rectangle below it. And so I don't know, we don't have the overhead shot, but there's essentially tree lines on the southern part of the property is mostly trees, and then along the property lines, which looks like would screen it a little bit from the neighbor to the east. And it looked like I went on the aerial shot on Google Maps that there are a few properties in the neighborhood that it looked like above ground pools, but I couldn't really tell. I don't know if Ms. Magnotta, you know, if how many of your neighbors have either above ground pools or in ground, but it looked like there were several right
Yeah,
here.
there's one
We just did recently the variance, 167, couple of months ago. Leofield variance.
Three.
Yeah.
Know over it
above
offhand.
ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 above ground. My husband's saying that he knows of.
Yeah, it looked like there were about 3 all kind of to the north and to the east. So, I mean, given the shape of the lot, I don't know where else this goes, because if you even move it to the south, you're gonna end up with an issue one way or the other. So, you know, it's going to be screened from the road. It's in the residential hamlet district, so all the lots are small. This is a 0.49 acre lot. But it looks like a decent location for what the lot has to offer.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Justin or Joe there?
Justin, did you calculate the building coverage?
Yeah, so Joe, you can tell me, but it looks like you have an up to 5,227 square feet that can be covered. The house is about 2,700 square feet. And I don't know if it's 1 floor or 2 floors.
2 floors.
Okay, 2 floors. So I think you're well under. Between the house and the garage, you're allowed about 4,500 square feet on the ground, and so you're going to be well under that. Yeah, Arlene.
Okay.
The pool is another 750 about. They'll be under the 5,200.
Okay, so we're good there.
Wait. Did you calculate, because the allowed is 12%. 12% of so 43,560 times 0.491 is 21,387 times 12%. So 2,566 square feet is the allowed.
Hold on, I didn't hear any of your numbers.
43,560 times 0.491 acre is 21,387 times 12%, which is allowed in the hamlet, is 2,566 square feet. That's the allowed maximum. The house alone is 1946. Detached garage is 672. The proposed pool, you convert the 24-inch round pool, it comes to 452. The deck is 160, comes up with 3230. So we're in excess of 12%.
What was oh, so what did it? So what was my number? Oh, because I didn't multiply by 0.49 acres times point.
Yeah, you have to.
So 2.5, I got it. So 2.566, that's what you're telling me is
Yeah,
the
that's
maximum?
allowed. That's the maximum allowed. Because it's 12%. That's the zoning in the residential hamlet.
Okay. Minus, then the ground floor is 195. So they're already over with the garage and the house is what you're saying?
Yeah, just the house, I don't know. I'm just going by what the parcel, the property card is 1946 for the house. Detached garage says 672. The proposed pool,
Well,
452. Deck 160.
but you only do the footprint of the house. You don't do the total square footage.
Okay, but it's still over. What's
No,
the
you don't do the second floor is what I'm saying. You don't count the second floor. It's just the footprint. It's
I
the
thought it's the square
it's the
footage.
dimensions of the foundation, if you will.
So what is the footprint? I just went by the property card, the parcel. What would be the footprint?
Well, is the house basically just is the house kind of a box, or is it the same on the second floor and the first floor? Or?
Yeah, same.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, same. There's not.
We could measure it from the parcel access. I could measure it.
Whatever, that's the foundation.
It's just the part that touches the ground that you're worried about,
Yeah, we could measure.
not the second floor.
Joe, do you know the size of the garage? I'm assuming that's not 2 floors, so 672 is accurate for that size.
I just answered all the questions around the application, so I'm not really sure.
Do you remember if that was here?
We just need the square footage of all the buildings.
There's the
I don't have any other numbers on any of the things I didn't.
Yeah, no, we didn't.
When I went there and picked up the applications, I didn't know I needed that number.
I'm not going outside of the tape measure right
Yeah.
now. I don't know it.
1 point. First story, it says 1130 on the property card. 1130 square feet. First story. Second story is 816. So I would say, I mean, you could just count the 1130 and then whatever the garage is.
Plus 672, okay, 1130 plus 672 is 1802.
Approximately 1,800 square feet, not counting the pool.
And we said they have 2763, so they've got 960, and the pool was about 760. Is that right?
It's a 24.
So the garage is 672.
Right.
And then, oh, there's a porch. 256. Oh, another porch, 342. I don't know.
I measured the footprints is 1962. See it? Oh,
What?
look at the footprints. I measure it. 1962.
No.
That's it.
It says total square footage, 1946. That includes the second floor. But there are the porches, which I guess technically we should count, right? So you've got the 1130, the 256, the 342, and the 672.
Well, you have a 1946 that includes first story 1130 plus 816. What's the
Yeah, you don't count the 816.
Yeah, no, I know. Where's the porch? I don't see the porch. 256, 1130 and 256.
It says porch.
1386. And then there's another deck. Is that a deck, Joe? The 342? Do you have a deck?
There's
No.
there's, it's a right?
Or do you have two porches?
Patio.
It's a patio.
You talking about behind the house?
It says porch, open deck. There-
Porch,
Over here.
open-
Porch, open deck, 342.
Well, there's no deck. There's no,
Yeah, these codes are kind of.
there's a concrete stoop out front, and behind the house is a paver patio. Brick laid on the ground. There is a porch out front, but it's sitting on a foundation over the basement, so I don't
Okay.
see how that could be. That wasn't an addition to the original part of the house. I can't imagine it's.
What's the square footage of the pool and the pool deck? So I think I got this figured out here. Hold on.
Well,
Well,
the pool,
wow. You guys aren't gonna test my math. We're 24.
The pool is 452. That's based on the 24 round pool. 24 divided by 2 equals 12 times 3.14, which is a pi, gives you 452.
Very impressive.
Pi r squared.
So what's the number?
Yeah.
452 for a pool because it's
I
Sure.
can't
24 inch.
hear you. What's the number?
452.
452.
Yeah, that based on the 24-inch round pool.
Okay, okay.
Plus 160 for the deck.
So that's about 20, the total is about 2,400 square feet with all of the
Yes.
house, the garage, the pool deck. So
Yes.
that's the number you're working with. And your total,
2,414.
2414. Okay.
But does this number not get calculated as part of like the zoning officer's review? I'm sure, like, if this was if he needed a variance for this, shouldn't be in why it was
But
denied. because-
he said
Yeah.
something after. He said something after, but he just didn't give exact numbers. He just said, "Oh, because of the it's a small lot, and there's a lot of buildings already," and he based it on the 1946.
I mean, because I did the calculation wrong, but I did the calculation, but then I said, well, it's not, as a requested variance, so maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this, but.
No, we normally add stuff.
I think it's a really good question. I mean,
No, I'm just saying, Arlene, I don't think I think it's hard to put on the board that not only are there variances that were denied, but then we should be looking out for new things that weren't in the denial letter.
We know how many times we added, like it was not on the denial, and then you added it. And the ZBA even sometimes added more stuff.
And I'm just saying.
but
it's hard as
that's not helping us.
Yeah, Yeah,
Well,
right.
it's
Like
up
if it's
here.
not,
I'm just saying that, I mean, it's always good to look at the numbers and everything.
Well,
Viewing it.
the numbers should be here for the board and for Justin doing all this work and not having the numbers in front of him. I have a
I'm
feeling
happy
that
to do the
every other,
work. I don't want to, I feel like I'm messing it up because we're doing it on the fly and I don't want to do things.
yeah,
on
and
the
I
fly.
agree with you. I agree with you. Um, it sounds like this whole area has had the same kind of problem. If there are other above ground pools and lots this small.
Yeah.
But I would like to have the correct number. And if we need two variances, then we need two variances. And this way the applicants can do this correctly. And not get, I don't want them to go to the zoning board with incorrect numbers. And the zoning board said, well, you need another variance, you got to go back.
No, they normally never let the applicant go back. They will just add it on. How many times we have it? Paul, where does it say that it's just a footprint, not the square footage? We always going back, do all the square footage.
It's the coverage on the ground. They don't, if you have something sticking up in the air, it's coverage on the ground. It's not the total square footage.
I guess it's the definition of the building coverage. All
That's
right,
the way
it's
we've
up to
always
you,
done it.
whatever you guys want.
Can I just say, I agree with Justin and Art. Maybe the prudent thing to do is just approve what we've been given and let, you know.
Yeah,
All right.
I agree with you, Justin. I think, and we could put a note in, unsure of square footage, if you want to check it, whatever. But we've only been given one thing to approve, disapprove, or go neutral on, correct?
Correct.
And how do you feel about just doing that right now?
Yeah, I'm happy to, I have a resolution for the actual rear yard setback, which I think we need to pass. And then I'm happy to add in some language saying that, you know, based on our discussion, without having exact numbers in front of us, right? We believe that the maximum building coverage, you know, is 20, I'm going to do the exact number, 2,500 square feet. We believe that this will bring it up to 2,400 so that it's under, but we didn't actually have the numbers to confirm that at the time.
I feel that's a good way to go. How's the rest of the board feel on that?
Fine with
Yes,
me.
you look into it.
I just, Arlene, if you look at the definition of building
I
coverage,
did, I seen
it
it.
says
main
horizontal
level.
plane at the main grade level.
I
Yeah.
did, I seen it.
Okay.
Okay. How do you
Okay.
feel about that, Jerry? Sarah?
Fine.
Fine, okay. Justin, go ahead with the resolution as you see fit.
All right, resolution of the Town of Clinton Planning Board making a positive recommendation to the ZBA on the requested variance to section 250, attachment 2 regarding an accessory structure requested by Michael Magnata on property located at 176 Clinton Corners Road in the Town of Clinton, parcel number in an RH zoning district. Whereas the applicant is requesting a variance to construct an above-ground pool within the rear yard setback, whereas the property is a 0.491 acre lot in an RH zoning district. And then I'll add in the part about the coverage. The property is not within the ridgeline protection area, but is within a critical environmental area in the Taconic State Parkway viewshed. The variance requested to reduce the rear yard setback from 50 feet to 11 feet is substantial. An undesirable change will not be produced in the character of the neighborhood, given numerous lots with similar characteristics, nor be detrimental to nearby properties, as the accessory structure will not be visible from the road and will be screened by trees from neighboring properties. The benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method. The proposed variance should not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical and environmental conditions of the neighborhood. The alleged difficulty is self-created, but should not necessarily preclude granting the area variance Now therefore be it resolved, the planning board is making a positive recommendation for approval of this requested variance to the Clinton ZBA.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Art, aye.
Listen, aye.
Aye.
All I-
Sarah, I.
Okay. Opposed? Nobody? Okay, so moved. So, Joe, you'll be going to the zoning board of appeals with a positive recommendation on the application that we have, okay?
Okay, and how long from now do they get back to me, or how do I know?
Arlene will give you a date when it's gonna be very soon.
Next Thursday.
Oh, next Thursday. Okay. Same Zoom type of thing?
This Thursday, next Thursday.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, good luck now.
Yep. Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is DeMello site plan and a special permit for an accessory dwelling. Is anybody here for that?
That would be me, Darren Davidowich from the Arta Building.
How you doing?
Doing great.
Good. Briefly just explain what you're doing and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Arlene, if you could pull up the site plan.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Go ahead, you can start talking.
So well, we're here tonight to talk about 13 Mountain View Road, which is at the far westernmost end of Mountain View Road where it hits Schultz Hill Road. Our clients own what was formerly two parcels. There was a 2.81 acre parcel and a 7.6 acre parcel. Those were recently consolidated together. So because the public records haven't caught up to us, you're going to see them referred to as two separate parcels in places, but we're currently dealing with 10.41 acres as those two have now been officially combined, both with the county and the tax assessor. That was an important thing for us to do as a threshold issue because we're aware that our proposal to do a detached accessory dwelling requires a minimum of 10 acres. So this allowed us to hit that metric. And it's in the AR5 zone. And what we're talking about tonight are three different components, all on the same site, all dealing with existing buildings. So when the site plan comes up, I will, yeah, site plans, Arlene, would be great if that one that's highlighted, if it comes up. If that's our stuff.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
one?
The one that's highlighted looks right, but I'm just seeing like your menu screen.
Oh, sorry. I thought I had it. You see it now?
Yes. Okay. So that's a good place to start, actually. So this is a little bit zoomed in. You can see Mountain View Road at the bottom of the screen. There are actually two driveways that exist presently that service the property from Mountain View Road. If we go all the way to the left of the screen and look at the, sorry, Arlene, to a little bit further to the right, we'll look at the driveway that's furthest west, which, yeah, you got it right. It's almost about to go off the screen right now. Nope. To the left of the screen where the building is labeled A, that's where we can start. Okay. So where you see the letter A on the plan, the long rectangular structure that addresses Mountain View Road, that is the existing residence. Okay. It's not shaded at all. It's just a little bit lower on the screen than the shaded portion. As it sits today, that residence is 5,350 square feet in size. And the original house, the rectangular-ish portion that is not crosshatched there, was built in 1793 and has obviously had some renovations done to it over the years. Most substantial is what is represented by the crosshatch there, which is a very large addition to the rear of the house. That addition is sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So the addition to the rear of the house is shown in the crosshatched area. And that's the area of this house that our first proposal deals with. What we're essentially proposing to do is remove that addition from the house and replace it with a larger addition. The owners have found it to be something that doesn't work for them functionally. The inside of the space is just one big open room with a lot of hallways through it. So they have some issues with the way it lives, both downstairs and upstairs. So the first of the three things that we have before the planning board would be removal of that addition and replacing it with another addition, which is larger in size. We'd be proposing to add 1,100 square feet more to the house. And then I'll go through these quickly, and I'm sure there'll be questions and we can come back. Then if we move up to the circle that has the B in it, just to the left of the main house there. Yeah, that is an existing stone garage. And our second proposal is to convert that stone garage, which is 610 square feet in size, to a detached accessory dwelling, so a guest cottage. It'd be a 1-bedroom detached accessory dwelling. We'd use the first floor for living, kitchen, and bathroom, and then the second floor would be a sleeping loft. So second of two things we're here to talk about tonight is conversion of that stone garage to a detached accessory dwelling. And I should point out that a question was raised when we first submitted this application about how close that was to the wetland buffer. But we're actually 112 feet away from the wetland. So we're 12 feet away from the buffer at its nearest point to the wetland. So we don't have a wetland permit issue, or at least it doesn't appear that we have a wetland permit issue because we're outside of 100 feet from the buffer. And then the third thing we're here to talk about is if, Arlene, if you could scroll over and allow us to see more on the right side of the screen. There we go. The letter D, the circle around the letter D there is where we have an existing barn, an existing stable. This is, if you drive by the property, the white barn up on the hill. And the proposal here is just simply to double the footprint of that barn. That barn sits today on this number at 610 square feet, coincidentally. And the proposal would be to double it and just put an addition on it that would be very identical to the barn that's there today. I should disclose that this is really just a placeholder. The applicants have expressed some interest in doing this down the road, and we put it on the plan in the interest of just being transparent, not wanting to risk coming back and having a segmentation issue or something like that. So there aren't really plans developed for this other than to say as a placeholder, their hope would be to expand this barn by 100% and create something next to it. So that's why I haven't submitted any official architectural drawings for that. There's quite a bit of other noise on this site plan. There were some components that were originally thought about, which are no longer being considered. So I can address them if there's questions about them. But, you know, for instance, number 1 contemplated doing a hot tub tucked into the hill. It's not something being considered anymore. But very significant is number 4, the circle around the number 4. And that is something we're in process on with the Dutchess County Health Department. And that is an expansion of, or actually a brand new septic system to serve this entire parcel. Currently, the house, the 5,300 square foot house, is a 3-bedroom, legally 3-bedroom residence. So we're in the process of calling that what it really is, and that's a 5-bedroom residence. And building a new septic system to accommodate not only it, but the one bedroom that would be the detached accessory dwelling. And the simplest way to do all of this was to build a new septic system and replacement area. The system they have today is barely something you'd classify as a septic. It's not something that would be even approvable by today's standards. So we figured we'd clean up all of the septic issues and supply the new building with one large septic system. So that is probably a few weeks away, if not days away from being approved by Dutchess County. We've gotten a number of review letters back, and it seems like they're at the point of approving it. And the reason it was chosen to be put here is because that was where the soils were most ideal to support the septic system. This is an open field, a paddock that we chose for the septic, and it works very well in terms of soil condition, but as well as proximity to existing wells. And then there's two variances that we're told will be needed for this project. The first one relates to the main house, and that variance deals with the fact that the house does not meet the 100-foot setback on the front yard. The house is something like 14 feet from the front yard, so it clearly doesn't meet the front yard setback requirement. And if you'll recall, our proposal to replace the addition all takes place behind the residence, but we're told that modification of an existing nonconformity triggers a variance. So our plan is to submit for a variance to the ZBA as soon as this board deems it appropriate. And then the second variance that we have been requested to seek is for more than 3 accessory structures. There actually be a total of 5 structures on this property, all existing. The pool being the most recent addition to that, the lineup of structures done in 2002. But we haven't gotten confirmation that there was a variance issued at the time the pool was approved. So it does appear that in order to, again, modify these existing buildings, we would need a variance to bring the number of accessory structures into conformity. So the variance would be to allow 4 accessory structures, all of which exist, and 1 main residence. The structure that I didn't mention in my introduction is C, which is a garage. It's really a poultry shed located at the front of the property. And the clients plan to use that as a garage. So that would be the 5th structure that I've mentioned tonight.
Okay. Jack?
Yeah, it's quite a project. Maybe we take these sort of one by one.
Sure.
Let's start with the main house. I'm trying to understand just how much of the existing house is going to be replaced. You said the existing house is 5,350 square feet. Is that on both floors, or is that?
That's total living area. So I think maybe the easiest thing to say is the current footprint of the house as it sits on the ground, similar to what we were talking about for the last applicant, is 3,760 square feet today. And then it would grow to, actually, don't rely on that number. The math is not working out on that in my head, and I don't want to state incorrect information, but we could go to another exhibit, Arlene, that we have in here, which does show the 2 footprints, the proposed and the existing.
That's the one using me.
That would probably be easier.
First floor area diagram.
Yeah, the first floor area diagram would be helpful.
That's where I'm having some difficulty.
Yeah, there's some confusion between footprint and area overall, because these are 2-story structures. So if we look at that diagram, it will show us, and Arlene, you have that
Is
as
it
one
the
of those
main
emails
house,
that I
right?
forwarded to you.
It's on the main house,
This one?
SK112.
Yeah, it's in that set.
This main house?
Yeah,
Yeah.
keep going. There's a diagram that shows some. Keep going.
Hold on, I gotta take your pictures, This one?
No,
No.
there's a version of this that has some color. Keep going.
Yes, there we are.
You see it?
So, yeah. So am I right that the only area of the existing house that's going to remain is this kind of small area in red, and the rest of it's going to be torn down and replaced?
I'm seeing what's confusing you, and I believe it's a drafting error. The red should be the proposed.
Ah,
And-
thank you.
And yes, yeah.
Okay, I thought this was going to be
The red, because you
biggest
put it in here
renovation.
existing, so it's the
My
other way.
apologies. I missed that lesson in Sesame Street, existing versus proposed. Yeah, so the
A
red
big
would be
difference.
the future configuration,
Okay, so
which would be 1,100 square feet larger.
okay, and this is it's got I went over and looked at it. It's got a plaque saying it's a Clinton historical site. How much of and I know there was an addition with a 3-car garage and all the rest put on it a
Yeah.
number of years ago. How much of the historical part of it is going to remain?
All of it. The addition that we're proposing to remove is the later addition, the 2000 and I believe it was 16 edition.
That's the one that includes the 3-car garage?
No, that would remain. The 3-car garage is at the bottom of our screen.
Right, okay.
So there's been a couple of additions, but it would be the addition that juts off the back towards the swimming pool.
Okay. That was causing me no end of confusion.
Yeah, my apologies. We will correct that
What's
exhibit.
the height on the building as proposed? I see you've got these very dramatic windows and whatnot.
It's 2 stories. I'll get the exact height for you. Not much different than what's there today. The drama comes from one side of it being tucked into the hillside,
Yeah.
and the other side of it being at essentially grade.
I don't know if this is right or not. I'm sure more experienced people will correct me, but I have it in the back of my head that we have something like a 25-foot height restriction in this town, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'll confirm both the height and what the code requirement is.
Thank you. Okay. So it seems to me we have to put this down for a hearing, right? But let's talk about the accessory dwelling unit for 1 second.
Jack, before you go on, what exactly is in front of us tonight? Is it just the accessory dwelling?
I was going to ask that. I don't know.
Because
Yeah,
I'm looking through, I'm looking through the packet and I'm trying to figure out exactly what we're supposed to be deciding on tonight.
Yeah, I'm a little
yes,
confused.
we're
I thought
doing,
this was a
Myself.
preliminary meeting before we appoint ourselves as a CEQA agency and that sort of stuff. But you Art raise a very valid point, because one of the things that is in the proposal is this doubling the size of the existing barn. And we have no plans on that. And I gather from an email from Mr. Davidovich that there's no, set date to actually do that work. It might be a year, it might be more. And once we approve a site plan, the applicant has 1 year to build, 12 months to build. So it seems to me we should just take that part of the application off the agenda and save it to such time as they actually want to go forward and have drawings and all the rest to submit to us.
I only have it one on the agenda, special permit for the accessory dwelling. That's all I have. He just.
That's,
he
yeah,
just-
that's,
I don't think the other stuff is planning board.
He just
Yeah, I
discussed
don't think
all
it is either.
the proposal. We
But the
only
barn
have-
is, but the only issue is the variance, right? For the number of structures. Should that be done first before
accessory
because if
dwelling.
they don't get that, then they have to go back to the
We don't have an application for any variance. in front of
Yeah,
us.
but yeah, that's true. I know, it just seems like, I agree with the ruling that they need one because they have too many structures, so.
But Paul, the garage is, it's existing. They're just converting it.
No, but the ruling that they've gotten is they need a variance, so, you know.
If I may, if the board would allow it, we'd love to process them both simultaneously. You know, we know there's a risk to not getting one or the other approvals, but, you know, we're hopeful that they're existing structures, and that there's a provision in the code for conversion of existing structures to detached dwellings. So, you know, we're willing to accept that risk if the board would entertain it.
See if this makes sense, folks. If that, the applicant go back to the zoning officer and get the application for the extra dwellings, because we've got 5, so we're gonna need a variance for that. We're gonna need an application, for the accessory dwelling, and we're gonna need a variance for the setbacks, correct? Is that, there's 2 variances we're gonna need, right?
I think the only thing that I'm not sure is correct is there's only 4 accessory structures, 1 primary. So it's not 5 accessory structures. So we'd be going for a
Yeah,
variance.
there
to
are 5
assemble.
structures though.
Yeah, 5 structures total.
There was some reference in the drawings to a proposed hot tub and deck. Is that like the barn, something that's just a thought at this point?
It's not even a thought at this point. So that would be something that we will remove from the plan. I just didn't want to make a major change to the plan, you know, when the board already had seen it. And I'm happy to, you know, certainly remove the addition to the barn where we haven't developed architecture. I think the only concern is just segmentation. You know, past experience has been that, you know, if you don't disclose it now, when you come back, it's frowned upon, you know.
No, we appreciate the candor. Is there plumbing in the existing barn, by the way?
In the existing barn, there's not.
I just, I think I'm not sure that this can proceed on parallel tracks because you mentioned the pool went in, you know, in 2002, whenever it was, right? And it isn't clear whether they got a variance for that, meaning the previous owners, not the current owners. So technically there's a violation if they didn't get a variance. We're not supposed to proceed when there's an existing violation. So I would just, you know, point that out.
Yeah, I mean, that would be something I would love some clarification on because, you know, it was permitted and given a CO. So it does
Yeah,
seem like
okay. Well,
there would have been, you know,
Then you should be okay.
you're right. But I just don't have that in my hand to say, you know, I absolutely don't need it. I hate to go to the ZBA twice if that was the case.
Oh, okay. So what is the board's feeling on the applicant going back and getting applications for the variances and the accessory dwelling, and then start to proceed in that manner with the revised site plan?
That makes
So
sense
we're gonna
to
do it
me.
piece by
Does that
piece.
make sense?
It does to me, yeah.
Sounds good. Are any of these structures a pool house?
No.
There's a pool with structures around it. There's like an arbor, and there's a roof, you know, that provides kind of a dramatic roof over the barbecue and all the stuff that's next to the pool. So that to me would all be one structure. But I don't think there's a separate pool house as such.
Yeah, I think there was something, there's remnants of an old shed that was very close to the pool, which I think might have been prior owners had a pool house they took with them when they moved or something. But it couldn't have been very large. That might be what you're referring to as a pool.
No, what I'm referring to was built at the same time as the pool, I think.
Yeah.
That's
There's
just,
there's
the shading around.
dramatic 2-story roof, and then there's what looks like an open arbor.
Right.
Those are the structures right around the pool.
Right, just some timber frame.
I was wondering if a pool house helps them with their number of structures, because you would count a pool and a pool house as one.
I think when this one, given the amount of stuff that's around the pool in the way of structures, it may be a little bit of a stretch. Not something that's beyond the realm of possibility, I suppose. We could consider it that way.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
What do you feel about my suggestion that Darren goes back to the CEO and gets all the information together and then gets back to us so we can start proceeding in a orderly fashion? Because right now we don't, we're kind of,
Hold on.
throwing it up in the air.
He got all the denial. We got the variance denial. He got all the denial, but then he presented that towards the latter part, but he got all the denial from the CEO. It's just the application from Darren. He said he want to proceed with the conversion of the garage first. That's why we're here.
Well, we can't, as Paul said,
Darren, he has the
we
stuff from
can't,
the CEO.
Arlene, we can't proceed until we have, it doesn't make sense to do this unless he has the variances, because then if he doesn't get the variances, he can't do the accessory dwelling. It doesn't make sense not to do variances first.
How is it that he's not going to get the accessory dwelling? The garage is existing. The number of structures is there. The only thing is the increase of the number of structures.
No. The CEO has to tell us, this is what Art just said. The CEO has to make these rulings and then they come back and we deal with it, the variances, and we can start the other process too. Right now, we don't have applications for variances. We don't have applications for variances right now.
Yes, we don't. But I have the denial from the CEO about the.
Okay.
So what?
So
Arlene,
next,
Not in front of us, Arlene.
we need the applications.
I should mention that it looks like construction is well underway on the accessory dwelling unit. There have been crews out there, and it looks like construction is really moving forward very rapidly. Is that an issue for us?
Well, they have a permit to, what permit do you have? You have a permit to.
Well, the construction is all just replacing the stone walls in the garage.
No, there's a roof on it that wasn't there a couple weeks ago, kind of a high roof, actually, high pointed roof.
Right, it's putting it basically back together, but without any kind of interior.
I don't know. It seems to me when I walked through, they were doing a lot of work, and since I walked through it a few weeks ago, there's now this, it's got to be a 20-25 foot roof on the structure, so like an A-frame roof.
14, yeah.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, Darren, I think the best thing is to get back to CEO, get all the applications together and back to us so we can start working on recommendations on the variances. And you're going to need, without a doubt, a variance on the number of structures before we go ahead on the accessory dwelling, because if you don't get that, we can't proceed. So let's get all that wrapped up and try and go through this in an orderly fashion. This way you don't have to come back 10 times.
Yeah, and I'll try to get clarification. I mean, Arlene, I guess, is there a way we can search to see if that variance has been issued previously?
Or which one?
Well, the number of structures, because the pool would have been accessory structure number 4 back in the day.
Was it a farm before? Was
Sorry?
it a farm before? Farm.
Doesn't matter.
farm.
Not that I'm aware
I
of.
know, but they're new owners. I mean, apparently there's a CO, so I don't know. I have to check.
I think
It's a
John.
stretch. I mean,
if John says they're good to go, then fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really all we're asking, Arlene.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's-
No.
It's just something I don't have
get
the ability to
information.
produce without some help.
Okay.
And then just to be clear, the planning board's largely just focused on the detached accessory dwelling. The addition and other work is just building department matters, or should we keep putting them on the plan and referring to them.
What do you
Well,
need?
we need a complete site plan. The actual, I don't know how much we have to do with the new the house itself. That should be, our building inspector should be in the forefront of that.
Okay.
Let's take care of what we just talked about so we can, proceed here and we're not spinning your wheels and our wheels.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Thanks, Darren.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be back in a few minutes for another one.
You gotta
Not
go
kidding.
back?
Yeah, I'm on the third agenda
Yes,
item too.
1556 Hollow Road.
Okay, the next item is the Rhea demo plan for an old barn. Is anybody here for that? That's not you, right there.
It's Dave Kraft.
I'm here, Arlene.
Okay,
No more.
I don't know.
okay,
Julie Rhea and Dave Kraft.
okay, good. Thank you. You made it. Okay, just briefly tell us what you're doing, and then we can move on.
Is that us?
Okay.
Okay, the barn that's on the property is in very bad shape. It was there when we bought the property. So it's just not safe anymore. So we just want to demolish it.
Okay. Who's got this one? Sarah, you got this one? We got.
Yep.
No?
I just, does anyone have any comment about, do we need a secret on this or no?
This is not a historic building or anything? of
No,
that Nature?
no, they've reached out to the Town of Clinton Historical Society, and the president recommended also that the building, probably should come down.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on this? Any of the board?
No.
So no
Good.
seeker on this,
I-
correct?
I don't see why we need it.
Okay,
I agree.
okay, just wanted to make sure.
What's the
Okay.
future
And
plan?
then the second thing would be waiving the requirement for number 7, which would be whether they would have to submit a plan that was drawn to scale of the interior and exterior of the building. I mean, they are demolishing the building. It would seem that would be a bit of a hardship to impose on them to have a plan of that. So I was hoping that we could determine whether we could waive that for them.
Anybody have a problem with that? Speak up. Does anybody have a problem with that?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Nope.
Okay, so you'll have to do a motion on that, Sarah, so we can vote on it. If we waive that.
I propose a motion that we waive the requirement for number 7, granting a waiver that they do not need to provide a plan drawn to scale for the interior and exterior of the building of the demolition permit checklist.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Okay.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Art, aye.
Justin,
Jack,
aye.
aye.
Okay, opposed? So moved. Okay.
Next thing would be, I know on Monday, Mr. Kraft submitted a brief note as to the plan for his plan for demolishing the building. Was wondering, Arlene, had you had the building inspector take a look at that and make any determination about that plan?
Can you put it up as condition? Because now, when did you submit it, Dave? Did you submit to the building
He
inspector?
emailed it to you on Monday, Arlene. That would be yesterday.
yesterday. Well, I haven't
Yes.
seen the building inspector. He won't be here till yesterday. What's today? Tuesday. Yesterday was a holiday. Building inspector only here Monday and Thursday.
Okay, so that just lets me know how to word the proposed resolution.
Yeah,
There's a
you
condition.
can do it with a condition, Sarah.
Right, exactly,
Yep.
exactly. But that's why I just wanted to make sure where we were, what the status of that was. Does anyone have any other questions about the demolition of this building?
Future plans,
There are none right at this time.
okay?
We spent enough on the house.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, you can go ahead, Sarah.
Okay, be it resolved, the Town of Clinton Planning Board recommends approval of the demolition permit application dated December 3rd, 2020, submitted by Dave Kraft on behalf of property owners Tom and Julia Ray for the purpose of demolishing a barn located on a 6-acre parcel at 89 Meadowbrook Lane, tax grid number ending 154318, and refers the matter to the building inspector for review and approval of the demolition plan submitted by the applicant. Whereas 1, the barn was built in or about the mid-1800s. The structure does not appear on the Historic Resource Survey of 1986 located on Dutchess County Parcel Access. This structure does not have a national, state, or local designation of significance as per the Historic Resource Survey of the 1986 from the Dutchess County Parcel Access. And as stated in a letter from Cynthia Koch, is it Koch or Koch?
Oh,
Or Koch, president of the Town of Clinton Historical Society, it is a candidate for demolition. 2, the barn structure has sagging in the middle of the roof ridge line, leaning of the eastern face, collapsed deteriorated flooring, openings in the roof, non-weather tight windows, wood framing elements that are leaning, and evidence of vermin in the structure. The barn structure is compromised and weakened to the point where salvageability is not realistic and demolition is recommended as per a letter dated January 29th, 2021 from Aaron S. Pethick, PE. Don't know if I pronounced that correctly. The parcel is, number 3, parcel is conforming lot, and the applicant has no current plans to replace the structure. 4, the use of the property will remain the same as the current use, residential. 5, a completed environmental assessment form has been submitted. 6, the planning board has granted a waiver with respect to item 7, plan drawn to scale of the interior and exterior of the building of the demolition permit checklist. 7, the applicant has submitted a demolition plan to the building inspector that is pending review and approval prior to commencing any work at the site. 8, all appropriate fees have been paid. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Clinton Planning Board recommends approval of the demolition permit application and refers the matter to the building inspector for further action consistent with the town zoning law.
We have a second.
Second?
Discussion.
did you put the condition?
I wrote number 7, the applicant has submitted a demolition plan to the building inspector that has been, that is pending review and approval prior to commencing any work at the site. Do you want it as a condition or do you want it in there as number 7?
Yeah, that's fine, because that's normally, when he filed the demo permit anyway, that's gonna be,
I mean, it was very straightforward. Mr. Kraft wrote in the letter, Arlene, which I have printed here. I can read it to everybody. It just says, Dear Arlene and Sarah, RE plan of demolition of the barn at 89 West Meadowbrook Lane. Due to the compromised structural integrity of the barn, the plan to demolish the barn is using an excavator. The debris will be loaded into a dumpster and removed from the site. That is the demolition plan that was submitted.
Okay. Sounds good. Any more discussion on the resolution? Okay, all in favor? Art, aye.
Yeah.
All right.
Sarah, aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're very
And Dave,
welcome.
thank you, Mr. Kraft, for all your help. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the Zachariah demolition plan. So we have somebody here for that?
That would be me
Yay.
again. It's
You're
Aaron from the
back.
other building. I'm
You're
back.
Okay, all right. Briefly, tell us what you're doing.
All
Darren.
right, so 1556 Hollow Road. There is a barn which is sitting adjacent to the main residence on the property. And what the owners would like to do, they've owned the property for 17 years, and they've largely just used the barn as an art studio and storage and things like that. It's unconditioned space, and at this point, they've just made the decision that they'd like to do something more significant with the barn, which is really starting to deteriorate and has been for some time. So, after exploring a number of different options, they decided that rather than treat it like any sort of accessory structure, they would just like to add it to the house, which does two things for them. It brings that living area into the main residence, and it gives them the ability to add a mudroom onto the main house that they don't currently have today. So they would improve their entry, which is currently immediately into the kitchen, and they would add this barn as part of the living area to the house. So we looked at a number of different options for doing that, and we kept coming back to the same conclusion, and that was that it's just going to be extremely expensive to try to modify the barn to be anything other than a barn which is on its way to falling down. Just over many, many years, there's been insect damage, largely on the second floor, especially with respect to the roof rafters. There's also all kinds of damage from animal infestation, tons and tons of bats, squirrels, urine from animals like that, carpenter bees. So our presentation references a report from an Orkin representative who visited the property, and I can provide that complete report, but it just talks about the damage done to the structure by years of rodent and insect damage. And then we took a look at it with our structural engineer, Clapper Engineering, and there's a couple of pictures that show you some examples of situations where, posts had been sitting on essentially bedrock and have rotted away.
What
And
do you
yep.
see on your screen?
What's that?
Do you see
I
my
see
screen?
I see the presentation.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can go through it page by page if everyone would like me to. It's a little bit long, but there's photos mixed in, and what they show you are some of the examples of the insect damage and some of the damage from the bat guano and urine. But also you can see some of the evidence where the timber frame is starting to separate, and you can see some examples where the building isn't really sitting on any sort of footing. It's just essentially sitting on bedrock and a stone wall. So what our proposal is to essentially demolish the barn, but in a gentle way. What we'd like to do is disassemble the timber frame, rebuild basically the same barn, but with the timber frame as an occupant inside of it, rather than the thing that provides the structure for the barn. So what we're really talking about here is rebuilding a barn that looks very much like this one in terms of its massing and its roof pitch, but a structure that is essentially an exoskeleton, something that is insulatable, is structurally sound, is built on a real foundation and not just sitting on bedrock. And within that building, re-erect the timber frame so that the timber frame sits inside of new walls, but doesn't have to do the work of holding up the building or the floors. So that would be beautiful and something nice for the owners to appreciate on the inside of the building. And what we've further done is proposed some windows that would allow you a glimpse through the window at the former, at the timber frame that was formerly the structure of the barn. So this whole project, the reason we're here, was born through an application to convert the barn and add it to the house with the addition of a mudroom. And that has led us here to first stop demolition permit so we can disassemble the barn and rebuild a new barn that's just like it, and then put the timber frame back inside, which will again be added to the house via the addition of a mudroom.
Okay, so the only thing we are considering right now, unless I'm wrong, is a demolition permit.
Yes.
As far as I'm aware, yes.
We're not talking about anything else but a demo permit.
Well, in the spirit of my prior application, I should be transparent and say that we also received a denial letter, and that is for, again, a front yard setback. So although we would be putting back everything in the same spot, we would be increasing or working on a building that was a non-conforming building. So it looks like I need to come back to you at some point soon with a variance application as well. But I don't know if that influences demo permit the same way it does a site plan.
I don't see how the two connect right at this point in time. I think again, you know the drill now. You got to go back to the CEO and get all of that. But does anybody here have a problem with going forward on this demo? No? Okay. Jerry?
Yes. Fortunately, since you pronounced it earlier, I know how to say Darren's last name. He provided a very comprehensive package of drawings and photos, and hopefully everybody got a copy of it because it was quite impressive. So I'd like to make a motion that the Town Clinton Planning Board approve the following resolution. Be resolved, the Town Clinton Planning Board issues a demolition plan approval to the building inspector for the demolition plan prepared by Darren Davidowich.
You nailed it.
The barn belonging to Jeffrey and Frederica Zachariah
Frederic Zachariah, yep.
of 11.2 acres located at 155 Hollow Road. Tax grid that big number. Whereas the barn in this application for demolition was built in 1900. There's 972 square feet, 54 by 18, and is directly adjacent to the primary dwelling. There's not any designation of significance, and the barn or property is confirmed by National Register of Historic Places in Dutchess County, New York. The barn is being demolished because it has been deemed structurally compromised and beyond reasonable repair. There's no historical value to this barn. When removing the barn, it will be reconstructed with a new building being built in near identical size, scale, orientation, and location. Proposed future use of the reconstructed building is residential, being connected to the primary residence with a new 180 square foot entry kitchen. The application provides comprehensive interior and exterior photos of the barn, the plan drawn to scale of the exterior and interior of the building, and a plan showing the location of the building on the property. Now, they submitted a short form seeker. Can we waive that, or do we want to go through that?
Personally, I don't see the necessity of going through it.
Great answer.
That's up to the rest of the board.
Do we agree?
Yeah.
Great.
It's demolition after all.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. An authorization letter is on file allowing Darren Davidowich to represent the owners. All appropriate fees have been paid. Now therefore be resolved, requested demolition plan is granted approval by the Town of Clinton Planning Board. I was going to highlight the need for future variances, but it sounds like Darren is on the drive to get all that done, so.
I already told on myself there, yep.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I second.
Discussion. Okay, all those in favor? Art, aye.
Very aye.
Jack, aye.
Sarah, I.
Okay, opposed? Okay, so moved.
Thank you, everyone.
Good luck, Darren.
Thanks.
Thank you for putting together a nice presentation there. We appreciate that.
Not my handiwork, but I will compliment the person who put it together. Thank you.
Okay. All righty, thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, you take care. All right, anybody got anything? We got approval of minutes. And I don't think Dean is with us tonight, is he? Nope. Okay,
I just wanted to say I looked at parcel access and Brown's Pond as a Army Corps jurisdiction.
okay,
So whatever, I don't know if they need a permit for that or, but anyway, that's why they couldn't find it under the DEC register.
okay. I assumed
Charlie,
everybody,
You might flag that for Davidovich, just so. I'm sorry, never mind.
It was, yeah. I think
I
Pete,
assume everybody has read the minutes?
Yes, I make a motion to approve all pending minutes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Art, aye. Okay, so
So just
moved.
aware, ag events are, it's passed, the ag events. So,
Yeah.
they pass it, the town board pass it. So.
Yes, we got your, so everybody will get a hard copy of that in their next folder, right?
It was in this one.
Your folder, I thought I put it in there.
It was in this package.
It's
Yeah.
in, oh yeah, right, I got it right here, yeah. Okay, good.
Hey, can we really, waive the EAF, especially for everything? I mean, that's environmental impact.
for what?
For demo permit?
Yeah.
Yeah. What if they're demolishing something and it impacted the environment?
Well, if you don't need one to build the structure, why do you need one to tear it down?
Well, if we're wrong, we'll find out very shortly. But
I'll look up, I
can't
saw
wait.
something, I remember looking at this once and I saw something that said it's a type 2. But the demolitions are a type 2, but let me see if I can find that. I'll send it around.
Okay, good. Anybody have anything they would like to talk about?
I will not be here in 2 weeks. I probably can be in the Zoom meeting, but I don't know how I would get a packet for the
Okay.
meeting in
Oh,
2
are you gonna be
weeks.
out of the country?
So
I
if
could
you, not out of the country, but I'll be out of the state.
I could
So-
give you digital. I could give you the PDF.
which is fine. I just wanted to let you know that if there is a hiccup, I will not be able to visit any of the sites for that meeting, but
Oh, you
but
could take a
certainly-
day off.
No,
You're-
I was gonna, if I could finish speaking, I was gonna say, yes, that I would review whatever emails I received and information I received, and happy to participate in the meeting, but just with that caveat that I would not have had an opportunity to view any of the sites. So if
Okay.
you need me to be present, I will be present.
Who else won't be around?
Okay, You're in
Arlene,
touch.
have you gotten an application for Cross Creek Farm yet for a subdivision?
They're just separating it, right?
Yeah, separating. I'm gonna be conflicted out, so don't assign it to me when it comes in.
Paul, they're separating it, the county, Road, right?
Both sides of Center Road, is that what it
Yeah,
is?
right, Center Road, Justin? Justin,
Yes, it's on Center Road.
It's on
Cross Creek
Center
Farm.
Road.
But
What they
Cross-
are doing,
yeah, they want to sell the milk barn thing.
Are they dividing it along the road, or are they?
They just want to separate it, the parcels.
they're dividing it by whatever people want to buy, Paul.
okay, that sounds good.
Well, the last time I spoke with the owner, he wants, I think, somebody's buying the milk barn, that's what he said, so.
I'm related to the broker, and I can tell you that no one is buying anything right now.
All right, do we have a motion
Someone
to
famous?
adjourn?
I so moved.
Okay,
Is it
Second.
movie star?
I second the adjourn.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so moved. Thank you, everybody.